Thank you, Chair. No, Minister, I fully understand that you maintain they are no longer adding. But what you are saying is that they have added before.
Definitely.
Now, I want us to now take a few minutes and talk about and interrogate that statement. Have they added before to the value of the South African police service as a whole? We're going to walk through that. So when we consider the PKTT, the extension requests, the budget increases, even though the staff complement decreases. Example, the initial request covering 6 months, September 2019 to March 2020. They asked for 57.1 million for a team comprising of 152 members. By 2021-2022, they asked for 97 million. But the staff complement decreased from 152 that they asked 54 million for. It decreased to 110 members. And now they're asking 97.5 million for. Minister, is that them having added value to SEPs in South Africa as a whole?
What's the exact question?
When you consider your statement, they're no longer adding, but they have added. We are now interrogating, have they added?
Yes.
And now I'm asking, when we consider throughout the extension requests, and they asked for a budget first in 2019 for only 6 months of 57 million for 152 members. And then in 2021-2022, they increased that to 97 million, but the staff complement decreased to 110 members. Would you say that they added value to SEPs in South Africa as a whole?
Well, part of what that sub-sentence or that phrase in the last sentence is based on is along those lines, as I've indicated, the calculations in terms of monetary value. But what I didn't add, because I wasn't writing details, you add the personnel, you add running costs of cars, you add, so that is just an indication what you are talking about. When you add all other things, the expense is quite high for the cases that were decreasing, as you are referring to.
So are you saying they have added value despite the way they approach the request for money, even though the staff complement decreases? It's okay, Minister. If you say yes or no, it will work. Are you saying that it did add value, even though they did that? Yes, no?
I'm saying so at the beginning because at that time you had a problem of killings as the problem was identified, and it added value in the sense that there was a decrease in the cases. But you can always have a concern about what money was getting into that and so on, as I'm indicating. But generally, that's my view, that at the beginning they added value. and they were a factor in the decrease, although not the only factor.
Okay. I'm still just looking at your evidence, and I'm putting it to you what you've given to us. Talking about cases. When you observe that in 2019, the task team reported 60 cases remaining under investigation, 60. By March 2021, the progress report, after giving 100 million, close to 100 million, and they were in existence for 18 months of operation, the number of cases then reported 18 months later, 100 million rand later, was 62 under investigation. No shift. Minister.
62 what? What did you say was the number of cases?
At first, they recorded 60 cases
Yes.
under investigation.
I have that
After giving just under 100 million to them, and them being in existence in 18 months. In 18 months, the cases still under investigation was reported as 62. No shift. Minister, did they add value to SAPS in South Africa as a whole?
Well, despite those figures, which I see and acknowledge that you are quite critical. When you look at the expenditure, you look at the figures of cases with minor shifts upwards. You could have a perspective like that look perhaps the value was quite less if you look at from that perspective. But generally, the view is that I share is that they added value at the despite those figures, because I wasn't I mean, I'm not necessarily basing it on case by case and rand for rand, but generally the view which I share was that they did add value at the beginning.
I thought you testified that you applied your mind, and what brings you to a decision must make you consider the past events and makes you decide what will happen going forward. So I assumed that your reasoning, as I read your evidence, was that when you saw all these things, it is these facts that made you think there hasn't real value been added for SAPS South Africa as a country, not just provincially. And therefore, the steps has to be taken. So I'm going to take you further, Minister, as I read your evidence. When you consider by March 2021, the PKTT have secured 246 arrests across 117 cases. 246 arrests. However, of these, only 42 accused were successfully convicted. 64 charges were reported as withdrawn. So the number of charges withdrawn is more than the number of convictions. Minister, did they add value to SAPS South Africa as a whole, when you consider that fact and others?
Now, you are asking about values still. What's the question?
Minister, your submission to me was that your statement was that they're not adding value going forward. but they added value when you look back. Now we're looking back and we are interrogating based on facts before us. Did they truly add value to the South African police service, South Africa as a whole?
Well, I have said generally, without or despite those calculations, and considering the fact that there was a downward trend, even though you could still poke some holes in terms of quality thereof, and say generally they did add value, and that was acknowledged across. But it's not without those points and factors that you are counting. Hence, where we are now, taking all those points into consideration, you do have concerns in terms of value.